back to this special episode of Rolling Hills, our LPGA episode. I am your host, Bailey Boyce.
And I'm Micah Beard.
And today we are joined for this awesome episode by...
My name is Michaela Booker. I'm on the PVMU Women's Track and Field team. I participate in shot, javelin, and disc.
Yeah.
Autumn Bishop, political science major.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for joining us today for this amazing conversation. For this episode, we really wanted to dive into the world of women in sports, gender equality, and all that stuff. So when we think of women in sports, typically the first thing, unfortunately, that comes to our mind is that gender pay gap and that pay equality. So when we talk about that and we talk about the pay disparities, we notice how that really brings up the conversation of, what's it called? Internal issues within the system. Internal issues within the system. So when we think of things like that and why those issues arise, what comes to mind for you guys?
I just think about how politics play a huge part in how we look at sports, and I love that. I love that our athletes right now, especially our female athletes, are reforming sports to make it so that it's equitable. Equitable pay is necessary, and it's central to making it enjoyable and entertainable and consumable for the rest of us. Yeah.
I just see it as growth because we've come such a long way from women athletes now, from women athletes like 30 to 50 years ago, or when Title IX was first enforced. So it's just a lot of growth, but we have a lot and a long way to come.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah. At this point in time, I believe the WNBA makes roughly 86% less in revenue than the NBA. So that's really upsetting to see that those women aren't getting the pay that they really deserve for all the hard work that they put in. But like you were mentioning before we even began, that it really isn't the surface level situation. It's what they're able to give based on viewership. So how are we as people going to support these female athletes so that we can make it to where they can be supported financially?
I mean, first and foremost, we have to remember that the WNBA and the NBA, they're entertainment. If all said and done, it's entertainment first. And so this is made for the people, and yes, using other people's bodies to make the entertainment, but this is made for the people. And I think as a man, just in a lot of a natural stigma and just as a community that we have, that we think that things won't be as entertaining because, women athletes, they don't dunk or don't shoot as well. It's just stupid stuff like that you hear that's we don't want to watch that. But it doesn't make any sense. I mean, we see Caitlin Clark has sold out seats and sold out arenas now that she's playing, her and Journee together, just doing amazing things. And so that I want to watch. I say I'm locking into WNBA games, and they're very entertaining. So I think once we get that stigma out of men's mindset as a community, we can it should allow us gain more viewership, and WNBA players can get more payment they deserve. They should get the sponsors they deserve. I think also just more collaborations with the NBA. I feel like everybody looks at WNBA so separate than the NBA. Yeah. But they have NBA in the name. They're together. So it's I feel like collaborations like Sabrina. I don't want to mispronounce her name, but her last name starts with an I. But she did the 3-point shootout with Stephen Curry, and that was a huge deal. And it was so close and so entertaining that it put a lot of people in seats to watch. I said we need more things like that. Maybe even collaborate with the WNBA and the NBA on All-Star Weekend. Just things like that that could bring in viewership. And once we do that, the WNBA can also launch more programs like having a WNBA League Pass or signing deals with channels like Max or doing things like that, because that's where the NBA brings in the most money, is extending the viewership to those large platforms and having exclusive games, exclusive deals, exclusive items where people log on to watch those. And so a lot of people don't realize that even in those contracts with NBA players, there's so many clauses, they don't see a lot of that money. And it's through these deals that they make most of their money, and the extra viewership and these sponsorships and these extra commercials, and as little as the shoes they wear and things they wear on their jerseys. That's where they do this. So that's what we have to bring into the WNBA, I feel like, to shorten this gap that's there.
Absolutely. And I mean, we see this everywhere with all women in sports. So when we bring this to a collegiate level, how are you seeing that play out?
When I see it, I really think that men and women's sports aren't different. We have the same practices, we have the same treatment, we have the same hard work we're getting into perfecting our craft. So for us not to be treated equally when we're putting just as much effort and work and time into it, it's just completely unfair.
Absolutely.
It's just unfair to see that our efforts are not being as appreciated as the men's. And it really makes me think, why is that? Why are we being viewed so littly in our economy, and why do we not get what the men get?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And just like you were saying, why are you not getting what the men get? Because the pay doesn't just stop at the money that they're receiving. It's all of their accommodations, where they get to travel, where they get to stay when they travel, what swag they have, what jackets they get to wear. They get if they get the new sneakers that match the school colors. All of that goes into what we're trying to build when it comes to women's sports, not just visibility, but making them feel like the athletes that they are.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
I think most importantly, getting them recognizable for their ability as athletes, not any social extension. You know what I mean?
Yes.
I feel like journalism that's covered by the WNBA is really just making it so that we are supposed to divide, and it's not really uniting it all. And just like how you said, put them on multiple platforms, spread it out, make it so that like athletes are financially mobile just as like male athletes are. You know, it starts there.
So like you were saying, we have been building more viewership for women's sports, especially with Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese coming out, Sha'Carri Richardson. All these women have been really building up that kind of vision for women in sports, female athletes, making a name for girls and who want to play sports, who want to play basketball, who want to do the things that have been seen as like more masculine. And you know, when we think about sports, we have this internalized idea that it is more masculine, and some of the language that we use is like, oh, you throw like a girl, you run like a girl, and our children have internalized that. But when we see these women, and like you, and you're in college, and you're a student and an athlete, I think that's really important for them, because I know we're around the same age, so one of our first ones was, Gabby Douglas, and before Gabby Douglas, somebody think.
All right, thank you.
You're not thinking?
I know exactly who you're talking about.
And you know exactly who I'm talking about. Yes, okay.
I know who you're talking about. I can't think of her name right now.
That's okay.
It's okay.
And as long as we
That's the point.
all of
That's
us.
the point.
No, that was so important. Oh my gosh, that was like a whole point in our life. And it showed us that we could do so many different things as young women. And this is totally off topic of sports, by the way, but I saw an article today where more children have been drawing women as scientists. So I just wanted to throw that in there. We're coming up. We're coming up on all levels. So it's really important that we integrate ourselves into the lives of these children and into the media. And so when it comes to the children and how you want to represent yourself as a mentor, how do you go about that?
So I really think about when I was a younger athlete and who I looked up to, specifically Black women in sports. I would love to see them on screen and want to be like them and see how they worked and how they came to be who they are. And I want to show that or breathe that and for little girls to see from me. And to do that, I just keep my head high and really try to represent myself very well and do the best I can in my sport. Because that representation on TV for these little girls, especially little Black girls, is big. If you can see someone on TV doing what you want to do, you can do it. Like, the world's your limit, the sky's your limit, you can do it.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Well, this is a really amazing conversation that we're having right now, guys, and I want to bring us right back to this, but after this commercial break. Welcome back. So now, you guys, we want to dive into some more, specific aspects of women's sports and the things that we want to look at when we go into this. So, women in sports remain drastically underrepresented when it comes to leadership positions, coaching positions, and things like that. So how do we see that playing out? What is that looking like, and how is that shaping the framework of sports today?
The framework of sports is changing because leadership looks like masculinity. And when women are in leadership, it's like criminalized. As a matter of fact, I think it was The Outsider. It was some like small newspaper Instagram, but they were just showing a video of Kim Mulkey, the LSU women's basketball coach, and she was just talking about why she wears like flashy colors and all things like that. She just said, "I'm from Louisiana." But after looking at all of the comments, it's like, this woman is so mean. She always has this thing going on. She's a coach. She's a leader. She's leading LSU's women's basketball team. And I mean, like, leadership is going to be like this forever until we have more women in leadership. It's going to be hard. And I just hate the scrutiny that people are getting in leadership right now.
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, Kim Mulkey and Dawn Staley, I think these are big names when it comes to female coaches. I think when you think about female coaches, those are the first two women you may think of.
Right.
They're all over the media, like you said. They've got these contracts, they're in commercials, and like you said, they are getting the fame alongside their team. So as their teams are growing in fame, as their players are growing in fame, they're growing in fame, and they're helping push those players along. So when they have those relationships with their players and they're helping them to build and to grow in environments where they also see a woman in power in that leadership position, that assist them. So as a female athlete, how do your coaches kind of impact your time as an athlete?
Our coaches are really our parents, like for real. They in our sport, like they guide us to let us know how we are, and we look up to them, and we choose to respect them and take what they say and value it. So I feel men or women can be a coach, and you can value and have that same respect, and it doesn't really have to be based off of gender. I don't see it based off of gender either. I've had men and women's coaches, and I've had problems with both, and I had good things with both of them as well. So I definitely see leadership as, do you deserve my respect? Are you going to lead me? Are you going to teach me? Are you going to give me the knowledge I need to know to improve? Or are you not? If they're doing that, that's what should be shown and highlighted, and the women can do that. I believe that we should have more women coaches and broadcast that more.
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, coaches in general, like you said, are a really major part of cultivating that relationship with their athletes and helping them grow, especially when they're student athletes, helping them grow as students and as athletes, pushing them past their college careers into the future, whether they want to play professionally or whether they want to get out and do something else. So coaches, like you said, it doesn't matter the gender. It's really based on your who you are as a person and whether you really want to be a coach. Because to be a good coach, you have to want to be a coach. You have to want to be a mentor, and you have to want to push past those boundaries that you have set for yourself to really be vulnerable with the people that you are in the position of leadership for. So like you were saying, tell me again how many female coaches are in the NFL?
3 of 32 even have a full-time coaching position. That doesn't even recognize being a head coach, assistant coach, just a coaching position in general. Just in general.
And so when we see things like this, and we look at the NFL, we have 3 full-time coaches, not even, like you said, not even looking at just the head coaching positions. Why do we think that is, and how can we integrate women more so into sports like football, basketball?
I mean, first, I believe that in just the inherent idea that football is a masculine sport, and that even when women want to play football, of course, as in like a general standpoint, men will look at it sideways. And so from that mindset, they don't believe that they could even know about football. They don't think they can study the analytics. They don't think that, you can understand the game. So there's like an inherent bias not even to let you in that coaching space, because they immediately think, well, what does a woman know about football? But it doesn't make any sense. Anyone can study the game. Anyone can observe the game. Anyone can analyze the game. In fact, there's been a lot of, women high school football players. And I personally don't know how many have made it to the collegiate level, but I'm pretty sure they may have or may have been. But even at that standpoint, anyone can be a student of the game, and anyone can have the mindset of a coach. I mean, people inherently think that a coach has to have played the game before. But as we've seen with many head coaching positions in college football, college basketball, NFL, NBA, a lot of those coaches have not played before. Some of them have the direct pipeline of being ex-players, but a lot of them have not played before. They're purely just analysts or scouts or people who have just moved up in higher rankings. So I think we just need to get rid of the inherent bias that women don't know anything about football, or that they can't play, or that they can't understand it, because that's just dumb. Anybody can learn the topic, learn a sport, analyze any type of patterns, anything like that provides being a great coach.
Absolutely.
And if anything, like apart from just football in general, I'd be more receptive to a female coach. You know, it would be more fun to play the game, and also just listening to leadership and somebody that has climbed up in the ranks. I would be more receptive to listening to them as well. Yeah.
And since women aren't in football, did y'all see the Super Bowl commercial for the flag football for the women?
Oh my gosh, yes. It was really sweet.
So now that I see why it's harder for women since women don't have football. But now coming through these years, if we're gaining a whole football league, it'll be even better to have more coaches in both fields of football, women coaches.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. And I mean, how more perfect can we make it? You speaking about Super Bowl halftime commercials, and you speaking about people thinking less of women in these leadership positions, to bring me to my next point of the Nike So Win campaign. Now, this campaign, if you all have seen it, was broadcast. Their first commercial for this was broadcast at the Super Bowl 59 as Nike's first Super Bowl commercial in a long time. And this campaign is really based on, it features all female athletes, professional female athletes, Simone Biles, Sha'Carri Richardson, Caitlin Clark, women like that. And it's basically just about pushing past the noise, not listening to what everybody is saying, and just letting your actions speak for themselves, you know? So when we talk about things like knowing the game and not necessarily having to play it to be good at it, and then, you know, just showing up and being who you are and showing them that you are good at it, and just proving, you know, having to prove yourself like that. I think campaigns like Nike So Win and Under Armour, what they do for female athletes is really amazing. Have you had any commercials or campaigns that have really stood out to you about that?
Yeah, I think any campaign that features like Coco Gauff, one of my favorite tennis players, she is always in the front lines of like these athletic brands, and I just think her face is just a symbol of being earnest in your sport, making sure you're advocating for yourself, and also just being a really good leader for young black girls, young girls in general, because I mean, like, she's our age, but she's so refreshing to look at because like watching her advocate for herself and be a good performer in her sport gives me goosebumps. It gives me chills.
Absolutely. We definitely want to be that face. We want to be barrier breakers. That's really who we are. I mean, like, it's crazy to think that at any point in time, somebody could break a record. You could end up in a book. You could inspire someone to be the next great thing, be the next you. It's just really awesome that at any point in time, these people that we're watching right now are cultivating inspiration. They're creating culture. They're making movements. It's just amazing to see.
It is.
Yes.
And now college athletes have a bigger NIL deals, meaning athletes can get more endorsements. So that's women athletes like me can get an NIL deal and have sponsorships with Nike or Adidas, and then we'll be broadcasted for everyone else to see too. So it's a better representation as well.
That's
Absolutely.
what I'm talking about. That's amazing. See, we need more things like this to encourage our people to play and encourage them to want to not only play their sport or do school, but to do both and better themselves in both ways. That's really awesome that you get to do that.
Yeah, and to just be more financially mobile. Adding on to your point, as just female athletes and just broadening that engagement.
Absolutely. And even speaking of engagement about college basketball, one thing a positive note that I like to talk about and that I saw was that, we've already talked about the male stigma about sports and, collegiate sports, and especially like with, basketball and the way they think that women play basketball versus men. Yeah. But after Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese and just a long time, 2 years of their competitiveness, men have really started to get into women's college basketball. And to see the next rising star, Juju Watkins, when she unfortunately got hurt, she tore her ACL recently. But to see the way men rallied around that, to never, not even poke a joke or be mad, they were actually very upset and wishing her the best well-being. And of course, that's a bare minimum, but it's like progress. Yeah. And also that it's the progress, and also just the want of wanting to see her succeed and saying like, oh, we want to get her in like men's basketball. We're going to see what she can do like there, just because they're seeing this talent, seeing that there's so much more to the game than what most people originally would think.
Absolutely. And I think that is a perfect ending to this segment. There is always so much more to the game, so much more than they can do, so much more than people think. We're always reaching to defy expectations no matter what we're in, whether it's journalism, whether it's sports, whether it's the sciences. We always just want to break those barriers and have someone look up to us. It's always wonderful to know that you have become someone that someone else can look up to. And I think that is really what pushes a lot of people to keep going sometimes. And no matter what keeps you going, what motivates you. I think it's really awesome to have these support systems, and you know to want to be a support system for somebody else. So when you next turn on the TV, maybe watch some sports. Maybe watch some sports.
Some female
fun.
sports.
Very
Some female
entertaining.
sports.
Very entertaining.
Yeah.
Very entertaining, and if you think
Absolutely.
I could do that, try it. Try it. You know, what is the hardest thing that you think you do in track and field?
Lift. Like we have to lift heavy weights fast, and I'm a thrower, so they want me to lift really heavy, and I'm like really fragile. I am strong, but it's just a lot.
Yeah.
And they make me do it, but it makes me better.
Yeah.
It makes me better. I love my sport.
I love that you say the hardest thing is something physical, because like that shows that the mental thing that you put past, because that's hard for me, like mentally saying you got to keep going, go to the finish line. That means that it's easy for you, right?
Yes, I mean it's easier. I've been an athlete since I was 9. I played volleyball first year round, and then I started doing track in high school. So I've always had that competitive mindset and how to push through my anxieties. But every day is different. This
Yeah.
is my first season in
Oh my gosh.
track. Yes, I just finished outdoor. I was panicking a little for my first little shot, but I really got out of my head. I said, I can do this.
Yeah.
You've been here before. You are able to. You're willing. God is with you, and you can do it. And I came out and I got second.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Wonderful.
That's what we like to hear. Well, this is so perfect, and I want to thank all of you. Thank you so much for joining us today for
Thank
this
you.
conversation. Just continue to think about what you can do to make the world a better place. Watch some women's sports. Go bar for bar with a female athlete. I bet you can. You know? Alrighty. I'm Bailey Boyce,
And I'm Micah Beard.
and these are our wonderful friends. We'll see you next week.
Bye.
Thanks for watching this episode of Topicality.
Remember to follow KPVU-TV on all social media, and remember to vote. Good night.